that they call Allah Father in that right sense. And I don't see any issue with it.
Okay, so Allah
Yeah.
is the Father, or at least was the Father, when the prophets were calling him the Father. And then when Muhammad comes around, Allah changes and is no longer the Father, correct?
Yeah, and he obligated that term for himself, but he
But
still possessed those attributes such as caretaker and provider.
so he's still the Father. He just doesn't want you calling him Father anymore.
Yes, he doesn't want you to call him, use that term for him.
Hello, amazing viewers. Welcome to this fascinating episode of our usual debate between Godlogic and Muslims. In this very episode, a Muslim claims that Moses is a Muslim, where in the Torah or in the Quran that it says that Moses was a Muslim. Let's find out the truth from this video.
Yeah, let's see. So proof Moses was a Muslim. Yeah, so the primary criteria that I would put on that would be from the Quran. And if you argue that it's a claim, then I can go back to the earliest evidence that we have from Moses, and that would be the Torah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what in the Torah shows you that Moses was a Muslim?
Yeah, stuff like where God tells him you should have no other God besides me, which is identical in the Quran where Allah says He is one, and
Sure.
also Deuteronomy 6:4, where God is telling him, "You shall not," where God is giving him the most important commandment that his God is one. Yeah, stuff like that.
Okay, so believing in one God, that's all it is to be a Muslim? That's what makes you a Muslim?
Believing in the one true God, that would make you a Muslim.
Yeah, but-
not in just any God.
Okay, very good. So specifically, you're saying that the one true God that Moses preaches about in the Torah is the same God that we see in the Quran.
Yeah, you can say that.
So the one who doesn't beget nor is begotten, the one who is absolutely singular in his essence, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you actually hold to the view that Allah is a father in a sense, right?
I hold to the view that if people in the past during the time of Moses called God with the term Father, then yeah, it could be possible that that was okay, but under the Sharia, we cannot use that term.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about using the term, but that he is. What I'm talking about, what Allah is, not what people call him. So
When you say He is, are you saying that Allah has a nature of a fatherhood or what?
yeah, like that he has an identity of fatherhood.
And can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, like is he the father? Like is that who he is?
Yeah, so if you say a father, and if you look into the characteristic of a father, i.e. being the caretaker provider, then we can say that yes, God has those attributes and qualities.
But you can say the same thing about a mother. A mother's a caretaker and a provider as well. Would you say that Allah is a father too? I mean, a mother as well?
No, we cannot say that He is a mother, or that people called him a mother back in the time. Obviously, we cannot say that He's a father even now, but we cannot say He's a mother because Allah never affirmed that term for Himself.
Did Allah ever
and neither
affirm-
the people in the past.
Well, it's not about the people of the past. They don't determine your Aqidah. Did Allah ever affirm for himself that he's a father?
He's a father.
Yeah.
I would say not. He doesn't negate it, nor does he affirm it in the Quran explicitly.
I would argue that he does negate it, but if we're just talking about just affirmation.
In the ontological sense, yes, he does negate it.
Well, he doesn't. And so he doesn't affirm it at all. We see a certain negation of it. He doesn't affirm that he's a father in any way, shape, or form. Can we agree there?
Yes, he doesn't have to negate it if he's revealing something to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Therefore, it would be an abrogation. He doesn't have to speak of it.
Well, an abrogation means that an abrogation would mean that there was something that was there before that is now being changed, right?
Yeah, that's what we're saying.
Right, and so if you're saying that this was abrogated, you're saying that this actually was the case, that Allah, not that he was called Father, but that he is the Father in some way, in some correct form or whatever, and that now he's not the fa- he's no longer the father. You know what I'm saying? So is that the case, that Allah was the father? Well, actually, you said that you can't refer to him as mother because he never affirmed that for him. So you can't say things about Allah that he didn't affirm for himself.
Yeah, neither the people of the past.
Okay, let me ask you this: if people of the past, or if people just in general, said things about Allah, that he didn't say about himself, is that okay? Is that okay to do?
No, that's not okay to do. But when I say the people of the past, I'm specifically referring to the prophets.
The prophets,
not to any person in the past.
Oh, okay. So not random people, but prophets. If prophets called him this, then they were correct in calling him this.
No, so if you say, here, let me repeat this again. So if the prophets in the past, as we see in the Torah, saying father, using the term father, then we would say that yes, it could be possible that they use this term and God was okay with it. This is the whole answer to it.
I got you. Were they correct in calling him father?
Were they correct in calling? Yeah. I don't see any.
So Allah was actually the father. He was identified as the father. That's who he was.
So Allah was the caretaker and provider, and people use to describe this term for him, father. Mm-hmm. And it was, so I don't see any issue with it.
No worries. And so he was the father, and he's not the father anymore?
No, so when you say he was the father, I believe you're referring to that. Was he okay with people using the term father in the past?
No, was he okay with using the term father in the past? I'm being very, very clear with what I'm saying.
Yeah. So when you say father, can you expand on that? What you mean by father?
No, it's not what I mean by father. I'm just going by, if the prophets called him father, however they meant it. You're saying that if the prophets called him father, then it was okay for them to do so, and they were correct when they did it. They were correct about Allah when they called him father, right?
Yeah, so if the prophets called him a father, and as we see in the sense that provider, caretaker, and this is what the position of the earliest Muslims, such as from the first century, also say the same thing about in regards to the Christians and the Jews. So yes, if they refer to it in this sense, then I would say yes.
So just to be clear then. So then, yes, Allah is the Father. Not that he was just okay with people calling him Father, but that they were right when they identified him as the Father. They were correct in that. That is who he is, correct?
Yes, they were. Yeah, they identified. They call Allah Father in the right sense. I don't see any issue with it.
Okay, so Allah is the Father, or at least was the Father, when the prophets were calling him the Father. And then when Muhammad comes around, Allah changes and is no longer the Father, correct?
Yeah, and he obligated that term for himself, but he still possessed those attributes such as caretaker and provider.
So he's still the Father. He just doesn't want you calling him Father anymore?
Yes, he doesn't. He doesn't want you to use that term for him. And if you are consistent, we see this in the Bible, where God identifies himself as Baal, and then he obligates that term for himself.
Where does he do that? Where does he affirm that he's Baal?
Yeah, so we see that in Isaiah. And we see that in Hosea 2:16. If you want me to get the word for Isaiah, I can get the right verse for you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
This is a pretty clear explanation here. That Allah is the Father. But not mother, though, because we don't have prophets calling him mother. And we get this information from the Bible, and so basically the Bible is what helps Muslims out with their Aqidah, which then we're going to have a world of fun here.
Yeah, so that would be Isaiah 54, verse 5.
Verse what?
Verse 5.
Verse 5, and what does it say?
I have one device, so if you read it, that would be good.
Okay, no worries. I got you. Yeah. I'll pull it up really quick. Isaiah 54, verse 5, you said?
Yeah.
All right. And it says, for your maker is your husband, Yahweh of hosts is his name, and the Holy One of Israel is your redeemer, the God of the whole earth, who is called. Isaiah 54.
If I'm right, yeah, the word for husband is Baal, I think.
I don't think that that's correct, but let's hold on. I'll check that out real quick. Hold on.
Yeah, you can look it up.
So the word is pronunciation, but the word is Boalayik, and it has the same root word as Baal is the root word of this word.
Yeah.
But the word is Boalayik.
Yes. So when you click on that, it goes back to Baal, and we can make a conclusion from also connecting this with Hosea 6 with God. Call me Baal no more. So yeah.
No, I disagree. So there's a huge misunderstanding here. The word is not the root word is Baal, but Boal, like the actual word Baal is used, and he's like, in that day, you will no longer call me Baal. I think it's Ishi or something like that. Your husband.
That God use this term for himself or not? This is the whole point.
It doesn't look like God affirms that word or that title for himself. See that the Israelites are calling him this, and he says, in that day, you won't call me this anymore.
Yeah, so
husband.
So when it says you cannot call me this anymore, what does that picture out in that verse?
It shows that, because if you read the next verse, it talks about how he's going to eradicate the names of these false gods that they associate him with.
Okay, great. Yeah, sure. So
I don't see God affirming the name for himself, but people are calling him this.
Okay. So when in Isaiah 54:5, when we see that the root word Baal is used there, and which, but also just one of the definition, which is, you can look at on the Bible Hub, which can also your husband. Of that word. So when we see that word used,
it's one of the definitions of the root.
Yeah.
The word is not there, but the root word is. That's what we need to make sure we make a distinction between.
Yeah, give me 1 second.
Logic.
What up, word?
I guess this the new JavaScript we got to deal with, huh?
Oh man, ever since the is Allah a father in any sense, that it's been the bow thing. And this is their supposed retort.
Crazy word.
Same script.
Yeah, so it's the same word, but when it's used in that verse, it's called, it has the word your husband. So when you're trying to add two words into it, such as your husband, then obviously the word would change. But when you click on the definition of that word, it says that it means your husband, and that's what God is using, the same thing, your husband. And the word Baal, one of the meaning is your husband.
And this is where we disagree. You see the ending there, yik?
Yeah, that's because the whole word, such as your husband, is used.
Exactly. But the word is not Baal, your Baal. It's Boalah, and then yik.
Yeah, it's because two words are being used, such as your husband.
The yik is the your, bro.
Yeah, so it's two words used there, your husband. And when we go to the word, the word in itself, such as Baal, the word translates to, or the definition is your husband.
No, that's not brother. You're looking at, you're mixing in the root of the word versus the word itself.
Yeah, I know that I'm talking. Yeah, so when I say that the definition of it is your husband, I'm speaking about the root first. And when it's being used in Isaiah, it's the same word that is being used there, but it has the two words being used, such as your husband. But your husband, if you're trying to write it in Hebrew, it would be just Baal.
No,
I
it
mean,
wouldn't.
husband would be just Baal, but your
It'll
would be a
be
whole.
it'll be Bo Allah. So it's more
Yeah.
akin to your God than ours. Your God
Okay,
is
so
named Allah, so his name will be more like Bo Allah.
okay,
That's
so
on you.
yes, sure. I don't know how does that follow, but yeah. So when you say when you're trying to translate the word husband in Hebrew, it would be Baal. That's the whole point. I'm not getting at the word your. If you leave
No,
that
it
out, the
wouldn't,
word would
bro.
be Baal. Or
The
husband.
word when you add the word your, that's what the yik is. That's why it's bo Allah yik,
Yeah,
your husband. The word
yeah,
just husband there. If you just leave out your, it's bo Allah, not Baal. Now Baal is the root of bo Allah.
yeah. So I'm speaking of the word in itself. So how would you say what is the word for husband in Hebrew?
I would say that in this case the word would be bo Allah.
So and is Baal also the word for husband?
No, I would say that Baal is the root word of the word husband, of the word bo Allah.
Okay, so what does Baal means the root word?
Say that again.
What is the root word takes on there? The root word Baal.
Yeah, so if you look at the definition of the root word Baal, it could be husband or master.
Okay, so it's the same word.
It's not the same. Do you? So
So,
I don't think that we're gonna just
so
get
You know,
into
this
this.
let's
say
yeah,
for
let's
Allah, he's
say
never gonna get bashed like
okay,
this.
great. So
It's
let's say
okay. It's
let's say
okay.
for the sake of the argument,
Let's
let's make that. Yeah,
yeah.
let's say
So,
Yahweh was never called Baal. Sure,
it
hold
was
on.
called Baal, but he told him to stop calling him that.
Yeah, let's say
he didn't affirm that for himself.
okay, great. So he never affirmed the word Baal for himself. Now what's the argument?
So you were saying this was similar to Allah, where He is the Father, but just and also affirms that He's the Father, but then later on denies that He's the Father, or tells them to stop calling Him the Father.
Yeah, so yeah, in Islamic theology, we have the concept of obligation. So yes, Allah was referred to as Father, and He was okay with it, and He affirmed it. But now He's not. He obligates that term for
But
Himself. So what's
yeah,
the argument?
I'm not talking about the term. I'm talking about His identity. Does Allah abrogate His identity or characteristics?
No, this is the term. The term does not. So the term is used. The term within its meaning has qualities. So we know that the term
So
father
does the term
has certain.
mother. So does the
Yeah,
term mother and its qualities.
the term mother is not used for Allah, and He never affirmed it.
And when you say that the term father was used for Allah, you're going to the previous scriptures, the Torah, the Bible, to
Yeah,
see how that okay. And so basically you can pull Aqidah, right? Theological conclusions from the Bible to support Islam. Is that correct?
generally, yeah.
All right.
I don't
So,
think that we don't hold to the stand that the whole Torah is corrupted. So
well,
I don't know.
that's fine. How do you, so that, see that that's where it's like when you try to pick and choose just to get out of trouble, that doesn't hurt. That doesn't help
No,
you.
this
It hurts
no,
more.
because yeah, sure. So, but when you're making an internal critique on the paradigm of what we see to be true and what we see to be false, and then yes, I can use the Torah, which I take to be the book of a book, and then it was corrupted, and we can see the falsehood and the truthness in the Bible by using the Quran. So I
Yeah.
don't
So how do you know that this isn't that this isn't a falsehood where the prophets are calling him father? How do you know that that's not corrupted?
yeah, because we see many prophets that are using this term.
Again, how do you know that those parts aren't corrupted?
Yeah, because we don't see. So we see the prophets of the Old Testament using this term "father," and we see also the scholars
My brother.
and the first century Muslims who also say that there's nothing wrong with if they use it in that
That's
sense.
that's not helping me. How
I
do
mean,
regardless of if your Islamic scholars say that there's nothing wrong with seeing Allah as a father, how do you know it's not corrupted when the prophets are actually identifying Allah as the father? How do you know that's not corrupted?
yeah, well, because it's a term that is being used by most of the prophets in that book.
You're just repeating that. Say for
No, I'm not. I'm going to expand on it.
Do you understand? Do you understand my question?
Yeah, you're asking me how do I know that it's not corrupted? Because
All right.
so the first response would be that we don't see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala negating that term, saying that oh no one used it. No, it's not in if it's in the ontological sense it is.
Now listen, he says disbelievers in the past used to say that Jesus is the son of Allah. So you're a disbeliever if you say that Allah has a son.
Yeah, that's
right?
in regards
Chapter
to the ontological sense.
Well, that it doesn't say that though. So,
Yeah,
so
but,
that's what I'm saying. If you're
the text doesn't have to say it. You're not
the
gonna go
text
there and
doesn't have
say
to say it.
yeah. So when you read
when
a
it-
text, hold on. Can
Go
I
ahead.
speak? Yeah. So when you read a text, you're not gonna go there and say, oh, let me see where does it say the ontological sense or just general terms. So yeah. So when you read that when you read that verse, you know what it makes out there. We know that Christians use it in the sense of ontological sense, in the ontological way. And we know
Okay.
that's negating the ontological sense. And we
Okay.
know that through the scholars also hold to the same view.
Okay. And so when Allah is denying being a father, every time, because as you acknowledge, there's no affirmation of it. Whenever we read the Quran, Allah is always denying that He has children. Every time. He never affirms it in any way, shape, or form. You guys
Yeah.
are coming out of nowhere and saying, "Oh, well, actually, no. Like He actually is a father in this sense." Where your Quran never says that, your Hadiths never say that. You guys make this up after the fact. My thing
We have
is,
a hadith. So we have a
oh, you have
hadith.
hadith?
We have a hadith from Umar ibn Khattab, which is the companion of the Prophet.
Wait,
And
do you have something from Muhammad though?
we don't have anything. No, I don't know
Okay.
why is that a sufficient condition?
Well,
Example.
because he's your prophet. That would
Yeah.
be why.
And we know that the student learned from the Prophet, so the student wouldn't come up with something that the Prophet never taught.
How do you know that?
Yeah, because we see the students to be promised paradise, and they wouldn't say.
So that don't
Yeah,
mean
that's
nothing.
Assumption. That's an assumption.
Hold on. Yeah, can I answer please? So we know the students of the Prophet, the companions, are promised paradise, and we know if they disbelieve or they use terms that indicate shirk, therefore they would go to hell. And
But
we know that they.
I'm a
Hold
little
on, can I
confused
respond?
here.
Yeah, I'm gonna respond.
Yeah,
So the reason we know that they didn't use it in a bad or in the shirk way, and when they affirmed it, they're not affirming it in the wrong way. So we know that the Prophet taught them this term,
Well,
or the Prophet could have taught them this.
That's
and
one
they
heck
learned
of
from
an
the Prophet.
assumption. Let me actually backtrack on that. We have, for example, where was it Umar or was it somebody else? Somebody was touching the stone, remember? And he says, it does nothing for me, but I only do this because Muhammad did it. Right?
Yeah,
you
so-
know what I'm talking about? Who is that?
Yeah, that's Umar ibn Khattab.
Umar. Okay. So we got Umar, who when he does something, he says where he got it from, the reason why he's doing this. We have an explicit example of him saying, I got this from the Prophet. That's why I'm doing this. Otherwise I wouldn't be doing this.
So wait,
So-
did
so
did
is
you
it-
say that for everything?
Well,
I
can
think
you,
you're blending something.
when he's talking about stuff that he's learned to do or things that can be controversial, I think that it's right to conclude that he would say or mention or trace it back to Muhammad, and so in the reason why he's doing what he's doing or saying what he's saying, right?
Okay, great. So does he that? Wait, so does Umar ibn Khattab? Does he hold to the same criteria every time when he says something?
That I don't know. That's
Alright,
the only
so-
thing. That's the only thing I can think of is when I see something that's controversial. You know what I'm saying? And he's like, man, I do this because Muhammad did it. He
so-
traces it back to Muhammad.
Yeah. So the response would be no.
I would
He
just like
doesn't.
to. I would like to see it trace back to Muhammad.
Yeah, so he doesn't say that.
Logic, he should, or he'll be inconsistent.
Yep.
No, and then you have to prove that he is inconsistent.
Well, so if you're saying that Umar says that Allah is a father and that's okay, and there's
He says that we are the children of God. That's
yeah,
what he says.
there's debate around that hadith too. But let's grant that Umar is nobody. I mean, he's not the prophet. He's not your Allah or your prophet.
What do you mean he's nobody?
What I mean by he's nobody, I just said it. He's not a prophet. He's not a
Wait,
prophet
so-
to you guys, nor is he Allah. And so for him to say something that's cute, it's cool and all, but I want where Allah is affirming this or Muhammad is affirming this.
Yeah, so can I respond to it? Yeah, so when you say he's nobody, that doesn't negate the fact that when he says something, that doesn't become Sharia a ruling in Sharia law.
That's
So
fine.
the action,
Is what he says is that inspired by God or?
I would say that since he's the companion of the Prophet, then yes, he would have learned it from the Prophet.
Just
And
to
if
be
you
clear,
say,
I didn't ask. I didn't ask if he learned. I asked, is he inspired by God?
no, we don't have the things inspired by God.
Anybody's opinion can
But
be
we know that he was, but we know
Sharia
he was
law.
guided by God, if that's what you mean.
Hold on, because I'm confused now. So you saying just any of the companions, whatever they, said, can be implemented into Sharia law
Yeah, so
just by them saying it?
yeah, so how the companions apply certain rulings, it takes a role in the Sharia law. So when a
It
companion
have to
does
be based
something,
on. Hold on, but it have to be based on the words of Muhammad or law, correct?
yes, it has to be based
Okay,
on
so that's
that.
what.
And
Okay, that's what the logic is asking for.
yeah, and when we say Sharia law, we say that the companions Umar ibn Khattab was following and ruling under the Sharia law. And when you see how
But
he
this is,
ruled, we know. Hold
I
on,
know what you're claiming, but
this is
logic is
going
saying,
nowhere.
can he see the evidence for that?
What
That's what
evidence?
logic is asking for. That's why he said he wanted to see it from Muhammad or Allah, from the Quran or somewhere,
Yeah,
not
I
just from
told you.
him.
Yeah, when Umar ibn Khattab is narrating something or saying something, he doesn't have to always name that. Oh, I saw the Prophet doing this, or I saw the Prophet doing that. He doesn't have to say that.
You know he's
The
correct in
Prophet, yeah,
what he's doing.
Exactly.
yeah,
How do you know that then?
yeah. It would be, yeah, for me it would be that he was the companion of the Prophet, and that's what the Prophet
That
taught.
doesn't
And
mean
for you to
anything.
say,
What?
That
So,
yeah,
doesn't mean
hold on,
anything.
hold on. So
wait, hold on.
are the prophet? Hold on. Are the companions of the prophets infallible?
Yes, they are infallible. No, they're fallible. They're fallible. My bad. They're fallible.
Oh, okay,
Okay.
okay.
They're fallible, dude. I just said it. They're
Yeah,
fallible.
he said they're fallible. He slipped of the tongue. I think he misspoke. Right,
Yeah,
Stefano?
yeah, in this book,
Yeah,
but yeah,
that's
they're
fair.
fallible.
It's
So
okay.
yeah, and it's just
So
okay.
they're fallible,
Yeah,
and he could be wrong about this, right?
not in every.
He could be wrong
Yeah,
about
yeah,
this.
yeah. He could be. Yeah, he could be wrong about certain things.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying what he says is like that's cool and all, but that doesn't hold any weight. I need to see it from the Sunnah or from the Quran. I think that's reasonable.
Wait. Hold on. So when we say he could be wrong about certain things, what does that picks out for you?
It picks out that he's not your authority of where you get your akida from, but it's the Sunnah and the Quran that is absolute. Umar
The way we.
isn't.
No, the aqidah that we get is from the Prophet, from Allah, from the Prophet, and from the first three generations of the Salaf. So that's where we get the aqidah from. And hold on,
Okay. So do they make?
when I say
Wait. Where do they
when I
get
say,
their?
wait,
Where do they
can I
get it
respond?
from?
When they get it from the Prophet and
Thank
the
you.
students of the Prophet
Wait,
and
where?
the students of the students
Which is
of the
where? Which is
students of
fine.
the companions.
When you say they got it from the Prophet, where do we find that at? Where do we find that at?
Yeah, we find that in the Hadith.
Thank you. So that
Great.
means that what Umar is saying, we can trace it back to Muhammad and find Muhammad teaching this certain thing in the Hadith or at least in the Quran, right? It has to be in one of those places.
Yeah, but can I ask you something? So if the Prophet, if you don't find Umar or the statement of Umar not going back to the Prophet, can we conclude that this is not what the Prophet taught?
Yes, he's making it up.
You don't supposed to take
Hold
it.
on.
You have to
Okay,
be
great.
Da'if then.
Okay,
Or at the very least.
and was the evidence that he didn't learn it from the Prophet?
No, the evidence is on you to show us that he learned it from the Prophet, dude.
Okay, great.
What
Okay,
are we
great. So
doing?
so this is a response since he's a student of the Prophet, and we say that he would be perfect in Aqidah. He know everything about Aqidah of God. So hold on.
So you're saying he would be infallible?
He's infallible again.
Wait, say it again.
So you're saying he's infallible? At least when it comes to Aqidah.
I'm not saying he's infallible, but I'm saying that he had the right Aqidah. He wouldn't have an Aqidah. We wouldn't say that the companions of the Prophet didn't understand what Allah is.
Right. So you would say that the companions are infallible in Aqidah, correct?
And no, not necessarily. Why?
Brother, come on, say
Bruh, what are
follow.
we
Yeah, can I
doing,
respond?
man?
Come
Yeah,
on,
but
dog.
yeah, I'm gonna respond to yeah. They are correct in Aqidah, meaning they have no deficiency in Aqidah.
So
They know who Allah is. They
so
know
they
where
are
Allah is.
infallible in Akida, correct?
What does if infallible picks out here that they're not they have the correct Aqidah, then
Brother,
yeah.
it means that they do not make any mistakes in Akida. They are perfect, infallible, no flaw. They're flawless when it comes to Akida. Is that what you
Yeah,
hold
yeah,
to?
yeah, sure, yeah.
Wow.
What do you mean, wow?
Well, I mean, they're
They're
not a
saying,
prophet. Are they?
what,
Are they inspired? Do they have a like Gabriel helping them out or anything? Are they inspired by God in any way? For
no, no,
wow.
they have the prophet of God who helped them
Oh,
and taught them about
gotcha.
God. Yeah, so let me get back to this. So since you don't have, let's say
No,
Omar
it's
is
okay.
saying
I'll
something.
give it to you, bro. I'll give it to you because I want to move. I want to move past this. This is crazy. I mean, if that's your position, I mean, I can't force you not to have it. But that's your position.
Oh,
If you
oh,
believe they're infallible when it comes to Akida, that's you.
yeah,
Now let's.
it's like saying, oh, the disciples of Moses didn't know what God is or didn't know who God is.
No, it's
That's
not.
just yeah,
No, it's
it's
not.
the same thing.
It's like no. It's like saying the disciples of Moses are infallible when it comes to their theological views and their teachings. But
Okay, so
they can be fallible. They're fallible human beings. They can get stuff wrong, and if they did get stuff wrong, we have Moses to go back to. We have his writings to check them and say, "Nah, actually, this is where you made a mistake." You know what I'm saying?
all right, so yeah, so the position of the Salaf is that yes, these four companions they have no deficiency and they're not wrong in Aqidah, they're perfect in
Okay.
Aqidah.
All right.
Yeah,
Sure.
because they were taught by the Prophet.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay. So, and so all of this is around the big picture is that this part of the Akida, that God is the Father, that you can pull some of this Akida from the previous scriptures, from the writings of the prophets, from the teachings of the prophets. And so this is where things get really, really interesting. Even though this was a little like nice little side quest, this is where things really get interesting because you're affirming that God is a father according to the Torah, that Moses is shown to believe in the same God of Islam from the Torah. So when we look at what Moses taught in the Torah, we should see that he lines up with what Islam teaches about Allah, that he doesn't begin or is begotten or is absolutely singular in his essence or any of these kind of things.
Yeah,
So,
are we gonna be going based on
the
the
Torah.
stance? Are we gonna be looking at the Torah
Yes.
from the sense of the Quran and how the
What?
Quran? Yeah, this is,
No,
yeah. What do
no,
you mean?
yeah,
Bro?
yeah, no. We're going to be looking at what the Torah says by itself, and we're going to see if the Torah, if what we find in the Torah, if it matches with what the Quran teaches about
Yeah,
Allah.
so is the Torah granted to be 100% right on this thing?
Well, you did that because you said that you can go to the Torah to discover that or to determine that Moses is a Muslim, and you can find your Aqidah to help out Islam. So you said that
Yeah.
the Torah is correct.
Yeah, sure, and I also say that the Torah contains truthness and falsehood, and we determine that by the Quran.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so
regard.
if you go,
Well, no,
yeah, so
no,
if you
no,
go
no,
in
no, no, no,
that,
no,
so if
no.
you go on that
I'm
instance,
sorry.
then go ahead.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Can you show me in the Quran where it affirms that Allah is the Father?
There's no in the Quran Allah never negates or affirm fatherhood in the correct sense.
Very good. So your Quran is not determining on whether the Torah is correct here, even though you're still acknowledging the Torah is correct when it refers to God as the Father. Is no problem. You see that?
But
So
no,
the
but we
Quran
see
doesn't
the
determine
Quran. This,
what's true
but
or
we know
not.
because we know in the Quran it's not being negated in the correct sense. So yes, if you go with that criteria, then yes.
No,
If you see something,
that's
yeah,
falsehood.
hold on, every yeah. So if you go to Torah and you find something that you're gonna show me something in the Torah, and we see that the Quran and the Sunnah is negating that and rejecting that, then yes, I have the right to say, oh yeah, this I can reject that. But if you can show me the same thing for father in the Quran or in the Sunnah, then I would say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna reject it.
No,
But
that's not how
since we already
this.
passed by that, then yes, if you want to argue under this criteria, then go ahead.
All right. So that's not how this works. And that's not how you work. You're being inconsistent right now. You went to the Torah to affirm that God is the Father because the prophets taught it. Not because, oh, the Quran says it and then we see that the prophets are right about it because the Quran says so, but you simply because the prophets taught it. And so since the prophets are teaching it, that was your criteria. Stop changing it now. If you're trying to change it now, please, Saif, I let you speak, didn't I?
Yeah, all right, go.
Okay, so don't try to change direction now and say, oh, well, whatever the Quran says, then whatever the Quran affirms, then that's what's true in the Torah. Because you did not use this to determine that God was a father. You used the Torah and the writings of the prophets. So the Quran has nothing to do with that. So we're going to read the Torah and we're going to see if the Quran aligns with the Torah and if Moses in the Torah taught the same thing that the Quran teaches. If it doesn't, then we can see that Moses is not a Muslim, which is what your criteria was. You said you can go to the Torah to determine that Moses was a Muslim. Do not change it now.
Okay, great. So can I have the consistency? And I hope you heard me when I say that. I say that yes, generally we hold to it. And I said that yes, it contains truthness and falsehood, and they're not mutually exclusive. So I don't know what's wrong with going to a book that contains truth and falsehood, and we can determine that by using the Quran. I don't see the issue.
All right,
I'm not being inconsistent. I told you this in the beginning.
Let's do this one more time. Let's do this one more time. Moses says that God is our Father, correct?
Yes.
Does Allah affirm that He's our Father?
He doesn't negate it, no affirm it. But
Say yes or no, bro.
Yeah, He is our Father in the correct sense.
Does the Quran affirm that?
No.
Thank you. The Quran,
He doesn't negate it
hold
either.
Hold on a second. Your
Did you hear what I
Quran says,
said?
your Quran says, well, I heard you. You said it doesn't negate it either. Let's see. Your Quran says that the Jews they're the children of Allah, right? His loved ones, right? Are they meaning it in a literal sense, or do they mean it in a caretaking, supportive sense?
No, they mean it in business to God.
Okay, so is that a correct sense?
No, that's not the correct sense, and this is what
Really?
Ibn Kathir. Yeah, this is why Ibn Kathir also said this, saying that there was a correct.
Can you open Ibn Kathir really quick on that verse?
Yeah, I already did.
Yeah, do it for all of us.
I have one device. If you want to do it,
you have the device. Word, can you do that for us?
Ibn Kathir said that Ibn Kathir said that there was a proper.
You're lying about what Ibn Kathir said.
All right, so listen. He said that there was a proper understanding.
What you want to open up? 9:30 or
5:18. Go to 5:18.
Okay.
We're going to see what Ibn Kathir says when Allah rejects the Jews referring to God as their father, saying that He's not, that they're not His children. And we're going to see in which way were they calling Him his father, or their father. Man, the games you guys play with y'all's book is insane to me, bro. It'll never cease to amaze me. It amazes me every time y'all do it. Y'all act like y'all hate the Quran, man.
All right, you want the second verse? You want me to put it on the screen or?
If you want, yeah, put it on the screen if you want. Really, we just need to read this out. Yeah, put it on the screen so we can all see it. And we're gonna see where it says the Jews and Christians say that we are the children of Allah, His loved ones. What does Ibn Kathir say there?
Saying the Jews and the Christians say, we are the children of Allah and His loved ones. They claim we are the followers of Allah's prophets, who are His children, whom He takes care of. He also loves.
Did you hear that?
Us.
So did they mean it in just simply a closeness sense, or that Allah is their caretaker?
Yeah, that Allah is His caretaker and He loves them. And
does Allah affirm it or deny that?
Yeah, he denies that when you let me respond. When you keep reading it and go down to it, and it says that they were using it in terms of closeness, and also. I know. Wait, hold on, Avery. Do you also agree that Ibn Kathir says? Yeah, they also agree that Ibn Kathir says that there is there's a proper usage of this term that was used.
Sure. Go
Okay,
ahead.
great.
So,
Okay,
but hold on a second. Your Quran says that when the Jews refer to Allah as their father, or as themselves as their children, and He their father, that they're taking it in a caretaking sense, the same way that you're affirming it. That Allah's their caretaker. He's our caretaker, provider. You know, He loves us, and yada yada yada. That's how you affirmed it the same way. So this is what they're saying, and Allah still says no. Correct? He denies it, right?
Yeah, because they were taking it in the sense that Allah will never punish them, and in that sense,
no.
that Allah. Yeah, hold
No,
on.
that's
Yeah,
not what they said.
yeah, that's what even the verse says. And if you
That's not what the verse says. The verse says, then why does Allah punish you for your sins if you are His children? His rebuttal. That's His rebuttal to them. His
Yeah,
rebuttal to them is, if you are my children, why then do I punish you for your sins? That's His rebuttal.
Okay, great. Yes. So okay, great. So let's say this is negating in that sense, and do you also agree that this same
Affirmed. Do you understand this? You yourself, Saifullah, when you came up and you talked about the sense that Allah's a father, or a supporter, that's what you said. Well,
Yeah,
Allah
but-
denies that.
yeah, because the Jews Allah.
No, He just told you. He just told you
I'm,
that.
I'm gonna put it on this.
My goodness gracious. Just read it. Do it again, Word.
All right.
Let's not be dishonest with the text. Let's not play on our intelligence. Let's not act like, you know what I'm saying? That we're mentally challenged.
Yeah, read it. Go on. Okay, let's read it. So read the bottom when it says Isa, when it says the Christian did not claim.
We're gonna read the Jews, what the Jews are saying here.
Yeah,
What is
and
it-
we're
what is
gonna read. Yeah, we will read the whole text here. That way we don't have to.
All right, let's go.
Mind it. Yeah. So you should just go to the bottom part since we already read the top part where it talks about.
No,
already read it, yeah.
because you denied this part. You affirmed it and then denied it just like 2 seconds ago. So let me just get a concession out of you that according to the to the explanation here, the Jews, when they say they're the children of Allah, they mean it as in they are that Allah is their caretaker and that they are followers of the prophets and stuff like that. Correct?
More than that.
Is okay. Go ahead and read it, Word, please.
No, this
Yeah.
is what it said.
Yeah,
Just read it word for
all
word.
the way down. Read it
Just
all
read
the
it
way
word
down.
for word. Just read it word for word.
Read it all the way down.
And the Jews and the Christians say, we are the children of Allah and His loved ones. They claim we are the followers of Allah's prophets, who are His children, whom He takes care of, He also loves.
Pause there.
Thank
So
you.
when
No, keep reading.
Wait, Paul, just hold
Don't
on a
pause
second.
it. Come on.
Can
come
we?
on, you're better than this.
Trust me, Safe. I have no problem reading the rest. But first, let's admit and acknowledge that according to the explanation, when the Jews in 518 are calling themselves children of Allah, they mean it in that He loves them and takes care of them. Is that correct?
Yes, and I say it's more
Very
than
good.
that. It's
And
more than
Allah,
that. Can we keep reading?
Allah,
please? Can we
Allah
keep reading?
denies that. Go ahead, keep reading.
No,
just for
you keep reading.
satisfaction. Go ahead, keep reading. Come on, bro.
Yeah, so we'll see.
This is
Okay,
this
now
is tough.
go to the bottom, please. Where it
no, we're
says
gonna-
the Christian did not use it.
Keep reading it all.
He said, He also loves us. The people of the book claim in their book that Allah said to His servant, Israel, you are my firstborn. But they explained the statement in an improper manner and altered its meaning. Some of the people of the book who later became Muslims refuted this false statement, saying that this statement only indicates honor and respect, as is common. Hold on, I lost my place. In their speech at the time, the Christians claimed that Isa said to them, I will go back to my father and your father, meaning my Lord and your Lord. It is a fact that the Christians did not claim that they too are Allah's sons as they claim about Isa. Rather, this statement by Isa only meant to indicate a closeness with Allah. This is why when they said that they are Allah's children and loved ones, Allah refuted their claim. So the way Allah refuted their claims is saying, no, it's not like that.
Okay, great. And did you catch where it says that there was a proper usage in their sense, which it was referring to just honor, and that's why he also quotes where he says to Israel, to Jacob, "You are my firstborn." That's what Ibn Kasir says, and then he says that this used to
That's the
indicate
term
honor
firstborn.
and respect at that time.
Well, yeah,
So
that's what the Jews.
wait,
That's
hold on.
what some Muslims are saying who are
Yeah.
Jews.
Let,
So
yeah.
do you, wait, hold on a second.
Wait, let's back it up. Wait, hold on.
But no,
No, but
let's
this
back it up.
refutes your
Do
point
you?
because
Yeah. Do you see
they was
that?
they were saying that the firstborn usage of being father and son is not like how Esau was using it. But he was still disclaiming and said, "No, I'm not even that to y'all." Even though y'all not using it as how Esau used it as being the firstborn, I'm still not that to y'all in the sense of being a taker and the one he loves. He still refuted them. All of this he refutes.
Sure. So the word or not, since you read it, did Ibn Kathir pulls out the correct proper way of using it? Yes or no?
He quotes the Jews who claim
Oh, my
that this
days.
is the way to use it. That
Yeah,
it's
that's not an answer.
It's an
That's not an
honor.
answer.
It's an honor and a respect that's the proper meaning of firstborn of God.
Oh, okay, so
right?
okay, yeah. So did he?
Is that
Okay,
affirmed?
so he did pulls out a proper way of using it, right?
Okay, sure. So
Okay,
do you?
great.
So wait,
so
wait,
now hold on.
Save. Hold on a second, bro. So
No,
do
'cause
you
I think-
acknowledge that this is different from saying that Allah is your caretaker and the one He loves who supports you? That's different, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so Allah denies being a father in that He's your caretaker and supporter, correct?
Ibn Kathir denies that,
Is that a
but
yes?
not other scholars.
No. Does Allah deny
According
that?
to Ibn Kathir.
Does Allah deny that?
No, according to Ibn Kathir, yes.
Safe. I'm trying to give you
What
a
do you mean,
chance.
say?
But
Yeah, I know, and
I'm trying to. I'm trying to give you a
yeah,
chance.
Yeah,
I'm trying to
yes,
give you a
and I'm telling-
chance.
Yeah. and I'm
According to
telling
the
you,
explanation, what do the Jews mean when they say they're children of Allah in chapter 5, verse 18?
Yeah, that Allah loves them and Allah. Yeah, so that their Allah loves them and care for them.
Does Allah deny when they say that they're the children of Allah in that way? Does Allah affirm that or deny it?
According to Ibn Kathir, Allah denies that.
Okay, is Ibn Kathir correct?
Ibn Kathir, no, I would say he's wrong on that. Is because we have
You
because
told
we
us
have
to
his
come here.
teacher. because we have his teacher Ibn Taymiyyah. Yeah, hold on, we have his teacher. Yeah, I don't know why you're laughing because we
You
have
don't
his
know why I'm
teacher.
laughing?
Yeah. So let me speak now. So because we have his teacher Ibn Taymiyyah, he says that yes, that it could be used in the sense of caretaking and providing. So I don't know why you provide that.
So who should
Why
we
are you
go?
laughing?
Wait, who should we go with?
Yeah, I would go with Ibn Taymiyyah and the early Salaf such as Ali ibn al-Tabari, who also say
you
that
know
there was
what?
a proper. Yeah, what do you mean?
No, I got you. You know what?
Yeah.
I think that I'm gonna go with Ibn Kathir because Ibn Kathir is coming straight from the Quran and the scripture, right? Whereas if you're saying that Ibn Taymiyyah says that yes, Allah is the Father in this sense or whatever, that goes completely against the Quran. The Quran never affirms it, but we do have an active denial of it. So
Yeah, so
that's
Ibn
tough.
Taymiyyah. Yeah, is Ibn Taymiyyah the teacher of Ibn Kathir?
Sure, yeah, he learned under him.
Okay,
What does that
great.
got to do with anything?
Yeah, so I'm gonna respond to it because we have because we have more than we have more scholars even from the Salaf. I hope you know what the Salaf are. We have scholars from the Salaf who also affirm this term in the sense of caretaking, providing, and in that sense, the Salaf affirming it, and we have Ibn Taymiyyah also affirming it, and we have Ibn Kathir rejecting it.
Brother. Here's my point. My point is that you could take whoever you want. The person you look, for example, today in this moment, who's the one who brought up Ibn Kathir? You or us?
Yeah, I brought Ibn
You
Kathir.
brought up Ibn Kathir.
Yeah,
And now
can
that
I
we see
respond
that
now?
Ibn Kathir goes against what you're saying that Ibn Kathir is wrong on this point. When you
No,
told us to
yeah,
go to him.
yeah. Can I speak
So,
why I brought Ibn Kathir and
no,
why?
hold on, bro. Let me finish my statement, man. You know I've been letting you speak. You know I'm gonna hear you out, man. So all I'm saying is that you can pull up whoever you want. You can do that. It's what we're seeing is a confirmation bias on your side. As soon as something works against you, oh yeah, no, that's wrong. No, yeah, that's wrong. Even when you first brought it up. You did that with
Okay,
the
great. So,
Torah. You said that we can go to the Torah to see that Moses is a prophet. And then as soon as if we go into the Torah and we see something that contradicts you, you're gonna be, oh well, there's falsehood in there, and then we got to use the Quran to judge what's right. Even when the Quran doesn't speak on none of, on these matters. We go to Ibn Kathir. Ibn Kathir was an authority right here just now. We go to Ibn Kathir. Oh well, no, he's actually wrong on this. I go with others, Timmy and somebody else. Your goalpost continues to shift based on whether it confirms you, bro. Whether it confirms your bias or not.
yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry that's how it seems to you, but the reason we went to Ibn Kathir because you quoted that same verse, and I replied to you that yes, you quoted that verse to negate the fact that Allah is not a father. And I told you that no, Ibn Kathir says that there's a proper way of using it. And then you took me to saying, oh, but he says we cannot be his children in the sense of him loving us and he's our caretaker. And then I replied to you, there's the view of Ibn Kathir. Yes, he, in that sense, is wrong according to Ibn Kathir. But we have the Salaf and we have Ibn Taymiyyah, his teacher, and more than him, more scholars affirming it. So now your whole point of view the whole point of you taking me there was to reject the idea of Allah being a father. Reject the idea of Allah being a father.
Yeah, it worked out
No, it didn't.
perfectly.
Since there's a proper sense, it
I just
didn't.
let you. Allah is affirming that He's a father, or that you're affirming that Allah is a father. Not only you said that it doesn't have a denial of this, where Allah straight up denies it. He denies it. He denies having a begotten son. He denies having children in every way that you could think of. Any sense of being a father, Allah says no to it. Figuratively, no. Literally, no. Begotten, no. Adopted, no. He's not a father. He denies it all. And so for you guys to come up and say, oh, well, actually, no, he affirms the meanings and this works for Allah. You guys hate your book. You hate your Quran. Just say it. Just say, you know what, guys? We're Muslims. We hate our book. We hate the Quran. We hate how Allah explained himself. We hate how Allah revealed himself. We hate how Muhammad taught about Allah. We're going to change some things and fix it around so that these arguments don't work on us. That's what y'all just need to come out and do. You know, stop making us expose you guys.
Okay, so can I respond to that?
Yes.
Yeah. So no, we're not twisting anything in the Quran when Allah rejects choosing the son from declaration. That's in the sense choosing a specific only one son for himself, a specific son. In that sense, we say that yes, he is wrong. In that sense, Allah is rejecting that. But in the sense that we say that oh, God is a father, in the sense that he is provider, protector, and caretaker. In that sense, by the ijma, by the consensus of multiple
Oh,
scholars
no,
from the
stop it.
Salaf,
It is not consensus of your scholars. Don't lie and say that, bro.
yeah, consensus would mean here a few scholars. That's what consensus
No,
makes out
consensus
here.
means that all agree. That's what the
Yeah, so
consensus
yeah,
means.
dude.
He said a
When I
few
say
scholars.
yeah, so when I say consensus here picks out three scholars. Let me ignore this. We have more scholars that say that yes, Allah was referred to as a father in the sense that he was the provider, caretaker, and all that. And we have this
That'll
even
be a
from the
fun.
Salaf.
That'll be a fun discussion to
Yes,
have one day.
yes,
But I,
yes. So,
I doubt that. But as a fun part of the discussion, that would be a thing to
I can
debate
show
one
you.
day.
Yeah, I can show you if you want.
Yeah, we can have that conversation in one day. My point
Yeah.
is this: is that
Yeah, so
contradicting
please.
your Quran, bro?
Yeah, sure. So no, they're not. They're not contradicting the Quran because we don't see in the Quran a negation of this term.
We just
All
saw
we
it.
see,
Five eighteen.
yeah, can I respond, please? all we see is a negation in the sense of having ontological sons, or in the term of closeness. And 518, according to Ibn Kathir, he also says that there's a proper usage. But even though he rejects in the sense of being caretaker and the Israelites being the loved ones of Allah. That and I told you that according to him, that's his position, and according to his teacher, according to the Salaf, there is another proper meaning, and according to Umar ibn Khattab, and you also agreed on that. So I don't know why you keep going back to this.
Agreed on what?
Even though you agreed that Umar ibn Khattab said that Allah
No,
is,
I didn't. I never,
yeah, that we are children
I
of
never
Allah.
agreed to
What do
you.
you mean?
I gave that to you for the sake of argument. I don't agree that he said that. Like I said,
Yeah,
if you missed what I said that there's debate about that hadith being weak and fabricated. So
Yeah, and I hope you bring me someone that has a debate about that.
Sure.
It's yeah, and we have enough scholars that say that this hadith is
That's
authentic,
fine.
and all we have is
Dude, I'm not arguing against that right now. Like, if I gave that to you for the sake of this argument, I don't care what Umar says. If he goes against the Quran, against the Quran, I don't care.
okay, so if you can prove to me that he's going against the Quran,
I already did.
I will leave Islam right now. Can you do that?
No,
please? I will. All he did was pose a proper way of using that term. That's all you did.
No, say
You see it. I mean, because here was refuting you, saying there's a proper way.
I showed you where Allah denies. Your entire argument was that ontologically he denies being a father. I showed you that wasn't the case. That Allah even denies being a father. So, according to the Quran.
No, according to Ibn Kathir, dude.
No, according to the Quran. Oh, okay. Just to be clear, are the Jews in 518, just without Ibn Kathir, without anybody, in 518, when the Jews say that they're children of Allah, do they mean it ontologically?
No, they mean it in terms of
So they mean it figuratively, and so therefore Allah even denies figuratively that he's a father, correct?
No. Okay, now you're being inconsistent, because when I came up, what I told you was that yes, Allah is a father in this sense. Oh, wait, hold on. Yeah, if you want to drop me, that's good. You can drop me. But when I came up, I told you that in the sense of being caretaker and provider, that's the definition I give you for figuratively. But now what you're saying is this: since in 518 he's denying it, even because he's holding to that position of being his loved ones and that he's taking care of them, that he's denying it. And I told you that's the position of Ibn Kathir. That's not. No, I'm not you. Yeah, so that's the position of him. So now if you don't want to agree with that, that's your whole.
Can you read this?
Okay.
Let me read this. It says, "Nay."
Last point with him.
Yeah, you are but human beings of those He has created. Allah states, "You are just like the rest of the children of Adam, and Allah is the Lord of all His creation." So he's telling them, no, you're just like all of the other human beings of Adam.
So nobody is a figurative son of Allah. Huh?
Nobody.
Incredible. Wow.
This is what it's saying.
Yeah, why this now? This is in response to why Allah is punishing them. This is in response to Allah saying, I'm going to punish you because you're not any better than other human beings.
Because you're
like
not
Adam.
my children.
No, just like Adam. You're just like Adam. You're just like the other all
who
human
are
beings.
not my children.
Not, yeah. Wait, can you say that again?
Who are not my children. The whole negation safe is that they're
right.
his children. That's why
Adam the son of Allah.
This is the negation.
Say. Well, let me ask you a question. Was Adam the son of Allah?
If you're saying that Adam used that term, then I would say no. But if you're saying
that's
that it's Allah,
that's not what I asked you.
Yeah, I'm responding, sir. I'm not gonna. That's not all I'm gonna say. If you're saying yes, if you're saying that Allah was his caretaker, provider, then yes, in that sense you can say that.
But I'm asking you, what do Allah say right here?
Yeah, go on.
It's okay. It's okay. We already.
Yeah, and I already explained that to you.
You gonna hold to it. It's all right.
That's crazy.
Say this was spirited, but we heard you out. I let you get that last point out, man. I'm gonna go ahead and let somebody else give it a try. All right. Can you hear me? Safe? Did somebody mute him, or did he get a call or something?
Yeah, I said okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Take care, man.
Okay, welcome back guys. That was an amazing and very educating. Let us know what you were able to learn in the comment section. Share this video, subscribe and like it as well. Internet has opened up this religion so much now that Muslims are desperately trying to look anything that seems to be truth into Islam. They are not careful how it will affect their religion. The same thing Muhammad did in his time when he dumped the Bible into the Quran without knowing that they will contradict his core teachings. Same Moses was a Muslim because he believes in one God, and he also said anyone who believes in one God is a Muslim. So they are now bypassing the core Islamic teaching of taking the Shahada that qualifies one to be a Muslim. This is another level of delusion. So can one truly become a Muslim without taking the Shahada? If you're not taking the Shahada, then you cannot be a Muslim. This is a core Islamic teaching that we all know about. But at this point, they are bypassing that because they have been exposed so much now that they are trying to loop anything that seems to be true into their religion. So the question now is, what is the name of the true God? Since other religions and pagans believe their God is the only true God also, the name and the attribute of God differentiates him from the other gods. In the case of Christianity, we believe that our God has a name, and one of his attributes is that he can be called a father, which is against the Islamic teaching. Moses believed that God is the father of Israel, which is also directly against your teaching. So if you say Moses is a Muslim, it means that his teaching has contradicted that of Islam, and there is no way for him to be a Muslim if his teachings are contrary to the ways and practices of Islam. At this point, Islam is confused. They don't know what else to believe. They are looking for any way possible to validate their Quran and also their religion, and it is a desperate move at this point. So guys, thank you for watching. Don't forget to share, subscribe, like this video. We would love to see you in the next episode.